So I'm going to use Charlotte's Web just because I already used that for my illuminated letter. So I'm going to go on Amazon and get the book cover original just because I don't have an actual copy of this. I haven't read it since I was, I don't know, 11, 10, something like that. So I went to Amazon, I found Charlotte's Web, and right if I right click, I can open this image in a new tab, and then it'll give me a larger size, and I can save the image as, and I'm just going to call it original book cover, renaming it and saving it in my folder on my desktop. And that way I will have an image to upload to show what book I'm doing the design from. And then you're going to go into Adobe Spark and you're going to create the new design. Before we start designing in Adobe Spark, let's just take a look at the book that I chose. So it should be a book that you've at least read most of so that you understand what it's about, so that you can really think about the elements of what's going on, that what happened in that book, what was the story about, who were the characters, what was the scenery like. So you want to think about those sorts of things. So for example, if I'm going to do Charlotte's Web, in the original cover, they showed the farm animals, and they have Fern, the girl who took care of Wilbur the pig. And here we have spider webs on the letters, and it has the author's name, and it also has an award on it because it won awards. So I'm going to think about what went on in that story. What do I remember from that book that were highlights of the story? And I'm going to write those down in my reflection page so that you can think about what kinds of things you might want to do for your design. Okay, so take a look at the original cover and think about what's going on, and then answer the questions in that worksheet before you start designing. So I think you guys are really going to like this a lot. It's a lot of fun, and you get to choose some templates and just play around with so many different things, and it's all just out there for you. So if you haven't used Adobe Spark, we're going to get started here. So the first thing that you need to do is go to this web page, which I put a link in the assignment, so Adobe Spark, and then sign in. If you haven't already created an account, all you have to do is go to sign in, and you can continue with Google or log in with a school account. So if you haven't ever done it before, click log in with the school account, and then you can start a new one by putting in your email address, your school email address. Or if you've already had one, then you put in, so I can put in my school email address, right? And then click continue. And then company or school account. And then you would sign in. Now, you don't always have to do this if you are already signed in once you create your account. If you click sign in with Google and you're already in with Google, then you should be able to find it pretty easily. All right, so on the side you have something here, and you click on projects and make a new folder. So over here is the folder. So you can make a new folder, call it basic design, because you might have some other things in there for other classes. So make a basic design folder, create. And now I'm going to put all my work for this class in this basic design folder. So if you click on it and open it, it says it needs something. So we're going to go create now. And this is where we're going to start our book cover. So over here, you might see popular, or you can scroll through and find some ideas, but you want to find something that looks the most like a cover, like a book cover. Okay, so you can scroll around and find anything that looks like a cover of a book. And I here have this cover here. Now this looks like a cover for your Facebook page, but if you click on see more, And then you could choose Kindle, and then it's going to give you a whole bunch of different Kindle pages. Okay, so this is great. So you can just pick any of these templates and you can start editing them. So look for something that you like, right? Now, just because your book isn't about a dragon doesn't mean that you can't pick this, right? Because you can change the designs. So just go through and scroll through and say, wow, look at all these different cool designs, right? So maybe here, I'll pick this. My book isn't about a wolf, but I'm going to edit this template. Come on. All right, so now I have this, and all I have to do is I can change my type. If I double click on it, I'm changing that to Charlotte's Web. I'm going to make it all caps just like they had it. I like that. Charlotte. No, I can't remember. I think it's 2 T's. That. Okay. Now I don't want it 2-lined. I don't know why it does that. So you can take it and stretch it out. And you can change the spacing. So over here gives you options to change the letter spacing. I can squish it up. I can also make it bigger or smaller. I want it on 1 line. This always gives me a little bit of trouble. There we go. Oh, 1 line. Okay, so now I'm going to change the size to get it to fit on the page. There we go. So you got to play around, and that's the fun thing about this, right? I get to play around and play around. I can change the colors, I can change the pictures. I am going to change this graphic here. So it says, so I'm going to delete this. Oh, replace icon. You can either replace it or delete it. So instead of a moon, I'm going to look for a spider. And I don't need the caps lock on. So if I choose spider and hit enter, then I get all these pictures of spiders. I like this one. So now I have this spider. But there's a bunch of other things on here. So I'm going to move this down here just to get it out of the way for now. Okay. I can also put this in the beginning. So if I change the order, if I drag this all the way to the top, then it's in front of everything because I'm not going to have anything in front of my spider. Now there's all this stuff, but they're all separate and I don't want all these little stars. So I'm going to just surround them and delete them because I really want a spider web back there. So I'm going to go add icon, and I'll just add web after that. And this. All right, now I can stretch it. I can stretch it really big and put it in the background. I can rotate it by this little thing here. And I want it really big. I want it to be kind of a background image. So I need to make it a little more subtle, and I want the lines to kind of bleed off the edge. When things go off the edge of the page, like see how this is going off the edge of the page? That's called a bleed. So they print it on the paper and then they cut it. So I want that to go off the end too. So I'm going to make it a little bigger. And then I'm going to just offset it kind of over here like that. Maybe make it even bigger. So if you think I'm just kind of going la 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 la, what'll I do? What I'm doing right now is I am letting you see the thought process behind design. Okay, so everything I'm saying as I go through this, I'm speaking out loud what's in my mind. Just to let you know that it doesn't all just happen magically. You have a thought process, right? So I'm looking at this web and I'm moving it around and trying to see how I like it. I don't want it behind in front of this text, so I can take this and I can put it, it's all the way in the back behind everything except for the one color. And I don't know what this is over here, some kind of thing that was in the original design. Right? No, it doesn't go off the edge there, so can I scroll up? No, I'll have to make it bigger this way and then drag it over. So remember I said I'm trying to get the the spider web to go bleed off the edges of the pages. So I'm making it really big and kind of off-centering it. So plopping things in the center is not always the greatest design, right? So see how the center of this is not in the very center of the book? I'm using that rule of thirds. And if you haven't ever heard that before, if you put things sort of in a third of the page, so here's sort of a third, a third, a third, right? I'm going to put it off center. It's much more interesting to look at, okay? I'm going to make this a little bit less harsh because I want it to be subtle, but I still want you to see the web. I'm going to change the opacity down. So look at this. I'm sliding it down some, and now it's not quite so bright, and the text stands out better. I'm going to move my spider back up here, and I am going to rotate this a little bit. And I'm also going to take that little, I'm thinking about my placement. So I'm going to move it up a little bit because first I want to change the words. Okay, so the author is not Bill Edwards, so make sure that you change your author. It is E period B, and when you have initials, you keep them together like that. It doesn't get a space. Like the E and the B stay together. And then a space, and then not caps, White is his last name. E.B. White is the author of Charlotte's Web. Okay, so I can do things like change the size, the font, and this says award-winning novel. I can put whatever I want in there, right? I can say, you know, bestseller. I can say, you know, a movie was made out of it. You can put whatever you want in here, right? It's your cover design, so you can change that. So now I'm going to take my spider, I'm going to move it down, and just for interest, I'm going to put the little spike of her, because it's Charlotte, of that little leg into the text, right? It sort of adds interest, and I think I might make it a little bigger. The book really isn't all about a spider, right? But Charlotte has a big role in the book. And there I have done my first cover, okay? If I want to change the background, I can change the background, but this is draft one, right? I've done one draft of my new version of Charlotte's Web cover. So I go in, and here I'm going to call it Draft Cover 1. Right? And now it is saved. You see it's saving? If I go back to my projects, you can see that I have my first design in my folder. Draft Cover 1. Okay, so you're going to do 3 of these. I want you to just go in there, find covers you love, make 3 really different from each other designs so that you can just have a great time doing this. It's so much fun. And then after you go in and you're going to show somebody, it can be your parents or your sister or your cousin, anybody that lives in your house, grandma, or you can email them or text them to your friends and have them give you feedback. So before you go and text them or show them to anybody, take a look at the reflection page for part 1 and look and see what the questions are. And I want you to have the friend, it can be more than one friend. So you could do one cover for 3 different people, right? So you can have like 3 different people each judge one cover. That's fine. But you're going to show them your draft cover and get their feedback, type it up on the reflection page. Then you're going to come back and make revisions. Okay, so draft